Hi, how are you? Happy Holy Week. Uh, it's such a wonderful time of the year in terms of the season. For some reason I keep going back to the seasons. I get very moved by the seasons, as you could tell. I really respond to them one way or the other. I see the beauty in all, but I think spring is my favorite. And maybe because of its also connection to Easter, which we are celebrating this coming week, this coming Sunday, Easter, and then the second Sunday of Easter. We'll be celebrating this weekend. Uh, Holy Week has always been so important in my world. And I sometimes, and I was discussing with some friends yesterday who are like my age, and like they feel badly because all the schools are closed this week. The public schools are closed. So people go away and they were really concerned about how much emphasis do we all put on Holy Week, especially for the younger generations. And I understand, and there's a lot of competition. That's the way that is, and the church is going to have to continue to figure out better ways to deal with that, to make sure we are spiritually and religiously educated. Uh, but hopefully, who gets to church this, especially during the Triduum. And so if you do have grandchildren that are close to you, and I would really strongly suggest you take them with you. Um, the hallmark of every year, of course, is the Easter Vigil. Sometimes that's a little antsy for little kids to attend, as beautiful as it is, but I understand. But certainly, middle school, high school, it's a great catechetical experience. This is the basis of our Catholic Christian faith. All that happens, the rituals and the traditions that happen at that Easter Vigil, are just wonderful. So I certainly would encourage you to do that. I unfortunately am not getting to the vigil this year because we have all the kids are coming in and the little ones, I don't think will be it'll be great just to be at mass with all of them on Easter Sunday. But I'm looking at the readings for Easter Sunday. Now we know Easter Sunday obviously is to be celebrated the resurrection of Jesus. And, uh, and certainly Mary Magdalene's role in that by being the first to see him uh, post-resurrection. But these gospels this week, in both the digital gospel and the Sunday gospel, don't tell us that. She approaches the tomb, sees it's rolled back, but believes that the body of Jesus has been stolen, not that he's been resurrected. Um, and she goes and gets Peter. And one of the reasons for the calling of the men to come and check it out, this what she's concerned about, is because in those days women were not recognized for their storytelling, so to speak. They were just not seen that way. And so they always needed a man accompaniment who would witness as well, because their witness wasn't taken seriously as a man. So, I mean, they could go figure that out. But so we don't get to see her this year in the garden with the gardener thing, and then it's Jesus, and he says, "Don't touch me." That's not happening this weekend. Again, we're kind of, waiting for that resurrection story. And up to this year, we kind of have to leave that up to our own imaginations and our own um, what happens at that, really, that Jesus is resurrected, not has been stolen. So it's a beautiful story. This is it. If it wasn't for that, we would not be here. It's the basis of all our faith. And the whole idea of meditating on it and sitting quietly with it, but the joy. And certainly, I think the world needs some joy now at this time. It's just been rough times in our history. So definitely meditate on it. Uh, and then we look to the gospel for the next Sunday, on the 27th of April, which has to do with post-resurrection stories. Um, Definitely the one with Thomas. And I think we're kind of familiar with that Thomas is still doubting. And a lot of them still questioned after all this time with Jesus, all that they saw him do. And still, there is this sense of not fully, totally believing, or believing in a way that they don't understand. And Jesus always is trying to make that right with them. Sometimes he succeeds, sometimes he doesn't, but it's taken them a long time for this to wrap around, for them to digest it in the right way. And here's poor Thomas, still doubting. Uh, he's not there for the first post-resurrection happening. He's there for the second, where Jesus is in the room with them. And of course, as you know, has Thomas touches his side, put his hands on his in his side. And you don't want you wonder sometimes, at least I do, when you read these stories and you were around at that time, how much would you believe? We have the benefit of 2020, hindsight. uh, we know what happens. We know after 2,000 years, we know the history. They did not have that. They were part of it. They were still struggling through. And I'm sure all the emotions they dealt with, the drama, of Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, it was a lot, I'm sure, to take in. And then afterwards, learning people being persecuted for their beliefs. So it was not an easy deal. But this is our joyful time. This is what marks us as an Easter people. And certainly when you are catechizing our young disciples, to really emphasize that joy and the hope, not just the joy, but the hope and the mercy, all that God gives us through Jesus. Something that we are just so, I'm going to say blessed, but it's more than even blessed. Something that we are experiencing the way God wanted it to be. So we learn those lessons. So I hope you have a really wonderful, holy, spiritual, holy week, and may it culminate for you in Easter that gives you new insight, that gives you closeness in your relationship with God and with Jesus, and to try to understand um, those stories that are written in our gospel, just to try to, help us to get a better handle on it. And it's a beautiful story. And again, one filled with hope, life, the victory over death. There's so much going on. So try to sit back, enjoy it, and let it just envelop you and savor it, because this is what we're all about. Happy Holy Week. Happy Easter. And I will see you next week. Take care. God bless.